In the second round of its kind, Denver city officials conducted sweeps of homeless people and their belongings encamped in downtown Denver on Tuesday. Despite campsites popping up throughout the city following the previous sweeps, cleanup crews accompanied by Denver police collected items along the sidewalks near Park Avenue and Lawrence Street, encouraging people to move along. Natasha, we seem to be caught in a time loop here. Homeless people move into a sidewalk, they camp out, there's some complaints, the city comes in, cleans it up, they're gone for a few days, week, maybe something, maybe less, they move back, repeat. Do you see any end to this loop in the near future?
No, and with this most recent sweep, it was a matter of hours before they were moving back. You know, there's certainly one side that says this is a matter about safety and health, and then there's the other side talking about constitutional rights. It's a big, complicated mess, and it's going to be in the court for a very long time. One thing that troubles me when we have these sweeps is it puts its focus on the generalization of homelessness. It kind of puts it in quotation marks. And one thing that I've learned over the years reporting on this issue is that you just can't do that. In fact, last year in November, 52 to 80 did a story called Our Town about homelessness in Denver. And one of the things we tried to portray was there's a very different homeless is very different when you are a 35-year-old single mom who had a salary and is now on minimum wage and is sleeping on a friend's couch, and the wraparound services that need to help her and the luck to get out of that scenario, versus, say, a 65-year-old man who has chronic health problems, deals with alcoholism, and hasn't lived under a roof for 3 decades. The wraparound services for that man are very different too. And when we have these generalized concepts of homeless sweeps, I think that the public tend to put all of those people, both that single mom and that man, into the same group, and it simply can't be done that way, which is the complex business of dealing with this issue. Denver does some things very, very well, and has done some things not so well, including, I would say, the sweeps. The key is keeping a broader focus on this, and it's not just focusing on the brooms and the needles or whatever else, and the cleanup and the police, and focus on what really needs to be solved here.
Noelle, do you see any evolution from the city in handling this issue?
No, I don't think anything changed between March and what happened this week. One of our stories in the Denver Post had cited a study by Denver University, looked at 2014, and the city spent $750,000 to enforce ordinances that affect homelessness. And that was in 2014. 2 years later, we still have the encampments. Business owners are still complaining. Tourists are still shocked by what they see. And the homeless people say, we have nowhere to go, or this is what we want to do. I don't know any city in America that has this figured out. It's certainly a problem.
Mm-hmm. And it seems that we've heard more about this as Denver has prospered the last few years. I mean, to put it frankly, there are less bad parts of downtown now. There's more valuable real estate, and there's people walking around, more of the folks that they simply could have ignored a little bit easier 4 or 5 years ago. That doesn't seem to be ebbing anytime soon. Is that going to push this up the priority list for Mayor Hancock?
Well, it's interesting. There was a study that we had reported on that came out late last year that basically said we are losing conventions and we are losing visitors because people are concerned about the homelessness in Denver. Now that is, I don't want to say that's a reason to do policy, but you have to think about actions that affect the core ability of a city to allow its residents to make livings and to prosper, as Denver has done. I'm surprised by the lack of subtlety in these sweeps. I mean, Denver is a city that, let's face it, it's been fairly progressive on this issue for 11 years since John Hickenlooper, then mayor, started Denver's Road Home program. Why are we seeing people going in with brooms and pushing people out rather than going in individually, talking to them, talking about getting housing, things like that? I mean, if Denver is going to offer both paths, it should offer both paths and not come down with one hammer at each time. So I don't know. I mean, it's an issue that Hancock's got to deal with, and the more these sweeps go on, the more it brings attention, the more he's got to deal with it more. I don't know that there's a non-subtle way to do this.
David, we're running out of time, but wrap it up for us.
Natasha's exactly right. Homeless can be a very misleading word. For the 35-year-old single mom she mentioned, her particular problem is she doesn't have a home, and if you can help her get a home, problem solved. But the winos and the drug addicts who have chosen this as a lifestyle choice. Homelessness is just a symptom of a much more profound pathology. Mayor Hickenlooper was overly idealistic when he imagined that the government could end all homelessness.